we're now getting into the Wout domain, the Wout territory. He always comes good 9 days into a tour, doesn't he?
I think he's going to be in animal mode in the second half of the race. Yeah. He's going to be. I mean, and we know that this guy just doesn't hold anything back. He's the best. I mean, he's going to want to try to win a stage for sure, but it will not be at the detriment of his function for the team and in critical moments.
I'm the 2012 Tour de France winner, Sir Bradley Wiggins.
And I'm Johan Bruyneel. I directed my teams to 9 Tour de France victories. Welcome to the Sir Wiggo and Johan show, our daily show where we dive deep into the tactics behind every stage of the Tour de France.
Hi everybody, welcome back to the Sir Wiggo and Johan show. Presented by Ketone IQ, like every day. Today, flat stage, 171 kilometers from Saint-Méen-le-Grand to Laval. And we're going to start, as usual, by asking Bradley, what is your take of the day? What's your main takeaway of today's stage?
Well, today's take of the day was, I predicted Milan would win yesterday. I thought it was, a sure thing for him. But more importantly, the green jersey competition is shaping up, and Milan won the intermediate sprint again today. And now it looks as though his main competitor in this green jersey competition over the next 2 weeks will be Tadej Pogacar. As Binigam Girmay fell away a little bit more today, wasn't in the top 10 in the final sprint. So that's my main take, is the green jersey competition now is looking like it's going to be between a sprinter and the main GC guy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can see that. It's not going to be easy for Milan.
No.
Because the official results are not out yet, but I think today he got 70 points, but he's going to get a penalty of 10 points for something he did. I didn't really see it. He pushed away one rider with 700 meters to go, and he's going to get a penalty. But anyways, this was their goal of Little Trek, right? And sprint stages and green jersey. But with Pogacar as a rival, this is not going to be easy. Before we start to talk about anything else, I want to talk about one of our partners, Join Cycling. Join is the #1 training app that puts a professional cycling coach in your back pocket. You don't need a big goal to benefit from training. Join helps you to stay fit, focused, and consistent, even when there's no event in sight. Join keeps it interesting with challenges, variety, and smart progression. It recalibrates when you miss a workout. It prevents overtraining before it even starts. It's designed by experts with world tour level experience, and Join helps cyclists of all levels to maximize their progress while avoiding overtraining. It's very simple. You download the app, you enter all your data, and Join will design a personal training schedule for you based on your availability, your goals, and your fitness. I'm personally using it for a personal challenge I have. At the end of September, I've committed to do a very long mountain bike ride in the hills of Madrid. It's going to be 5 to 6 hours with more than 2,000 meters of elevation, and I'm using it, and it's amazing how it caters basically to your wishes. I mean, I'm almost 61 years old, and it adapts really to any level of cycling you want to do. So Join is your #1 cycling training app. You can now test Join 30 days for free. Download Join today and improve your ride. So you go to join.cc/themove and you will get access to the Join app 30 days for free. So that's join.cc/themove. Bradley, today the stage started from let me get this pronunciation correct. Saint-Méen-le-Grand. It's the birthplace. I've looked it up. It's the birthplace of triple Tour de France winner and ex-world champion French Louison Bobet. You, as a cycling historian, and I know you are, and you have an incredible memory. Do you know which years Louison Bobet won the Tour de France?
Bobet 53, 54, and 55, and was world champion in 54 as well.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's correct. He was an amazing cyclist. He also won 4 monuments. Only Liège-Bastogne-Liège is the only monument he didn't win. And I think you had another stat on him, right?
Well, his last Tour de France, so he had a really bad car crash in 1960, and it was a career-ending car crash. Mm-hmm. But he climbed off the bike I think it was 59 on the Col d'Iseran when Coppi attacked to win the Tour de France and climbed off his bike and never rode again. He retired on the spot.
Oh, wow.
Which, for a big champion like that. And of course,
yeah,
the Col d'Iseran goes over the top and finishes in Val d'Isère.
Yeah, beast of a climb. Very long, very long.
It's where that's the climb that Bruyneel won the Tour in 2019 when he...
Was it the Iseran or the Iso? Yeah, it was the Iseran. Yeah.
Yeah, when it snowed on the descent into Val.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to go up.
I still, you know what? I was talking with Spencer about this the other day, Bradley. I don't know what you think. So this was 2019, right? So 2018, Geraint Thomas had won the Tour.
Yeah.
And Bernal attacked on the Iseran. He got away. I think, was it with Simon Yates? He got away.
He was chasing Yates,
Yeah. And then there was a mudslide, and the stage got cut short. I mean, I'm a big Egan Bernal fan. I mean, I love to see him win that Tour, but I personally think if this stage would have gone on, because it was the downhill of the Iseran, then they had a long valley, and then they went up to Tignes.
Yeah,
and seeing what was behind Geraint Thomas, who was not going to work, and there was Kruijswijk, and there was Laurent de Plus, who was pulling for Kruijswijk, and there was some other guys, Alaphilippe even, I think.
Yeah. Alaphilippe was in yellow.
Yeah, he was in yellow, yeah. And so anyway, so they stopped on the top of the Iseran, and that was the finish of that stage. But I think that Bernal would have had difficulties to win that Tour if that stage goes to the finish, because, you know, he would have problems with that super long valley.
Yeah. And in the cold, it was snowing as well.
Yeah. And then the day after, the stage, which was stage 20, was cut short, and was Vincenzo Nibali who won the stage, who was until today the last Italian the France
Crazy
stage
to
winner.
think, isn't it? 6 years ago.
6 years ago. Yeah. Anyway, so today was as we predicted, right? The headwind, flat stage, nothing going on. We had Little Trek and Intermarché controlling for Milan and Girmay. So I thought by myself, you know, it's a really good day for, and I think the majority of the riders in the Peloton will agree, except the last 30K, which are always super hectic. It was a really good day to recover, and also a good day for a guy like João Almeida, who crashed yesterday and surprisingly was at the start this morning.
Yeah, I mean, so the report came through that he had a non-complicated fracture of his rib. I mean, I know what it's like to break a rib. Have you broken ribs?
I did the first, in my last Tour de France in 98, I did the first 10 days with 3 broken ribs.
You know, and not only that, we saw the abrasions and how cut up he was as well. I mean, he was at the back today. We saw him riding at the back, and I think he was fortunate that it was a stage like it was. But part of me just doesn't, you know, you can recover from road rash and things like that and knocks, but, you know, is he going to be the João Almeida that we expect of him in the mountains with a broken rib? I mean, I wouldn't put it past him, but, you know, at the same time, you know, it's going to be a big loss to Tadej in some way.
I think we're not going to see the Almeida we want to see. You know, there's a quote from Machin on Almeida. He says he's a fighter. He has a broken rib, but it's not a fracture that will impinge him on his breathing. The doctor has given him the all clear to start. Did you ever continue races with broken ribs or fractured ribs?
No, there was no chance.
You can do it. I mean, my experience personally, and every single cyclist has had either bruised ribs or fractured ribs or broken ribs. You know, continuing to ride your bike, it's not gonna make it worse, but it's definitely gonna make it better, because your ribs go. You know, every time you breathe deep, it, you know, and I think the problem with broken ribs or even fractured or cracked ribs is, initially you kind of feel okay. You can say, okay, it's not as bad. But 3-4 days later, when you've done this huge expansion of your rib cage, right? Yeah, it starts to inflame, and we
also saw Marc Soler crash today as well.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, it didn't seem to be. It didn't seem to be a bad crash. But hey, listen. I mean, it's the proof, Bradley. I mean, the tour is unique. You know, you can have your leader in top shape. If he loses Soler and Almeida, this changes completely, right?
Yeah.
Do we know something about the Bahrain guys who crashed? It was Buitrago. He was really bad.
But did he start today?
I don't know. Dunbar didn't
Dunbar
start.
is out. He's out.
Yeah.
Which
What
is
was
a
his?
shame,
Did he have a wrist fracture or something? Wrist fracture. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was a stage. You know, there's really nothing much to report. You know, an easy day for the majority of the stage, and it was, you know, you could see clearly. Okay, nobody wanted to go on the break. We had these two teams controlling, Intermarché and Lidl, with one rider, I think, one or two riders probably, and we could see that some riders in the peloton had, you know, they were in the wheels recovering. I mean, and I think they all needed a recovery day after these hard stages. We've seen that Tadej Pogačar was even in the mood to check in with his team car. His girlfriend, Urška, his girlfriend or wife, I don't know if they're married. She's racing in the Giro d'Italia for women, and he was checking in with the team car. So we have this little clip here of Tadej checking in.
Today, Urška, 7th place at Giro d'Italia stage. And in the GC? Wait, we still don't have info. Maybe 9th, but we will check when will be official. We will tell you, okay? And how was Austria? Del Toro win, 3rd, Maika.
Interesting. So yeah, I mean, he had time to check on that. By the way, first of all, I don't understand. Do you understand this? That in the middle of the Tour de France, they have the Giro d'Italia for women. Who put this calendar together? It's kind of weird, no?
Yeah, I think I don't know how that is constructed, the women's calendar, but obviously they do have the women's Tour de France when we finish here, and but yeah, I don't know on that one. It does seem strange, but at the same time, it is a different calendar to ours. And I think I did see something the other week that there was a consideration that they may run the women's Giro to coincide with the men's race, or just after. You know, which would make sense, wouldn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
They should do I think they should do the same with all 3 Grand Tours.
Yeah,
it just makes much more sense, no?
Yeah, because the women's Vuelta has already been, hasn't it?
Oh yeah. The women's Vuelta has been. That was like before, like in the old days when when the Vuelta was the first Grand Tour.
Yeah.
But other than that, you know, there's not much to report. There was another thing before we go into the details of today's stage and the final of today's stage. I've seen this comment from Tadej versus Visma Lease Bike and Matteo Jurgensen. There was an incident yesterday, and I think it's just an example of what's going on and how stressful it is. So the last lap yesterday, just after the first time with the Bretagne, there was a feed zone and there was an incident between Pogačar and Jurgensen. They had their soigneurs. Pogačar was on the right side. He was going to his soigneur, and then Jurgensen came next to him and basically took his bottle for his soigneur was in front, but I think they both missed their bottle, and there was some pushing going on. So. Pogačar said today about this, for me, it was normal, but I don't know what their intention was. They do this a lot of times, coming in front of you in the feed zone, like they are the only ones having the bottles there. Sometimes you have to be patient and stay on the wheel when you're taking bottles and pay respect to everybody. It's not a love affair between UAE and Visma.
Where was those comments made? Was that just at the finish? Was it?
No, it was this morning before the start.
Okay,
this morning before the start. Yeah, I saw the incident. But I think, Bradley, I don't know what you think about this. An incident like this, it happens. It's obviously not deliberate, not from one guy or the other. It does happen, right? But this tension between them could this be part of Visma's strategy in the long run to really annoy Pogacar, piss him off and push him to make mistakes?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure on that. I'm not too sure. I think incidents like that just happen out on the road, and there's no intention from anyone. I can guarantee that someone like Matteo Jorgensen wouldn't intentionally do that.
Yeah.
And we've seen how stressful and how fast the race has been. And half the time when there's a lull in the racing and you're trying to get your drink or your food or your bottle, we know what feed zones are like. I mean, it's
mayhem.
Yeah. So no, I don't think there's much in those, to be honest. But Tadej's comments, when asked about it, he didn't dismiss it, did he? And he's clearly a different animal to the one we've seen in any interview in the previous years. Yesterday he looked quite concerned in his interview. He didn't seem as jovial as he normally does. And there is a different side to Tadej this tour, and an extremely confident side, as we've seen. But that's also reflecting in his body language and the way he's conducted himself. I mean, just like, riding there and asking about his girlfriend or his wife, whatever they are, the situation they are. But also I saw him sitting on Tim Whelan's lap behind the podium today, having a bit of a fun, and there is a more sort of, I wouldn't certainly not arrogance, because if anyone's
confidence,
it's a confidence, and it's a, it's a different demeanor. And I like this demeanor of Tadej.
Yeah.
I think he's warranted it. But there is more of a sort of public rivalry this year with those two teams than there ever has been, which is it can only be good for us watching it.
Yeah, and one of the things I also notice is that, and this is typical for the Tour de France, right? Sometimes Pogacar looks a bit more irritated than normal in interviews. And this is the Tour de France effect. Everything is blown up, out of proportion, magnified, exaggerated. And I just wanted to ask you, Bradley, you have been firsthand in this situation in 2012 when you took the day you took the yellow jersey. I mean, you were the favorite already before the stage, but when you take the yellow jersey, then everything changes, right? You have to do these press conferences. You have to always ask. I mean, and I think people underestimate how draining this is, because there's nothing else you want to do than go back to your hotel to recover, and you see the same faces, always the same questions, sometimes even stupid questions, many times. So I would like to ask you to explain a little bit how you manage that.
Well, sports journalism for me is dead. I think that anyone can be a journalist these days. You can run a page, a blog, or whatever, and feel free to have a comment or an opinion on something, which is fair enough. What I've found difficult to always deal with was that I felt that some of them, or a lot of them, because there's 2,500 journalists, photographers, and cameramen on the Tour de France. That's a lot of people. Do we need that many for a start? Now, half those journalists that are there, or so-called journalists, are really only there. They're blowhards seeking to make currency out of someone, and seeking to make currency out of comments from someone where they get them and they have the privilege of getting them 10 meters after the finish line after a 6-hour stage. And as we all know, I was the best at it. You're not going to be the best version of yourself in terms of what comes out of your mouth. So, and there's people that seek to make currency out of those comments when you're on the tour, and you have to deal with that every day. And once you become aware that those questions are coming, and they're coming daily, and I led the race for 14 days, it can become irritating, particularly the type of questions you get asked, which are, and in my case, when I was leading the tour, the topic of hot conversation was me and Froome and the situation, which is understandable. But once you've covered that situation once and that topic once, there's obviously a rampant need from certain journalists to want to make more of it than it is, if indeed there was. And again, the thing that cycling journalists seem to get away with is the misquotation of you. So you can say something that is verbatim and you can see the transcript of it, but they will, as we know, twist, sensationalize, and misquote you. And that can become a problem through the tour, particularly if there's something you haven't said. And that's why I asked you about Tadej Pogačar, where those comments came from. And I, when I listen to a rider give an interview and I hear what they say verbatim, I'm much more inclined to trust what comes out of their mouth than what I read, because I don't trust many journalists, if any, if we can still call them journalists. Even these comments that I'm saying now, Johan, I'm sure there'll be a story from. Wiggins slams journalists at Tour de France, calls them all a bunch of cunts. Sorry, not actually cunts.
Something like, it's very easy to do.
Yeah. Anyway, so there we are. That's my take on it, Johan.
It's hard. It's also one of the things that you have to master if you're the favorite, especially in the Tour de France. The Tour de France is different to anything else. If you're leading the Vuelta or the Giro or you win a big classic, it has nothing to do with the attention that, is thrown over you. Of course, that Pogačar has won the Tour de France 3 times now, so he's used to it, but he's becoming a more and more bigger star.
He's a global star, isn't he?
Yeah.
In world sport.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And so, I think that little irritation sometimes, the irritation after the stage or when they come with a question sometimes. And you're right, Bradley. I think this little incident now that we saw in the feed zone, they just want to blow it up. I've seen articles everywhere.
Yeah,
in Denmark, especially in Denmark, it's it's blown up.
Yeah, and we saw that last week with the the potential feud or the wanting of a feud or some sort of question as to whether Wout and Wout was giving everything he could to Jonas. And there was a great shot yesterday of Jonas riding back down the finish straight in the opposite direction after the Mur de Bretagne. And they both touched hands as Wout was coming through the finish line, which dispels all the crap that was written last week.
Of course. Yeah.
But good to see Wout up there today, second as well, I have to say.
That was amazing. That was impressive. It's one of the stages that a Wout van Aert in like 100% shape would have a really good. It's Jonathan Milan. You don't beat that guy easily, right?
No.
But still, good to see him up there. And this is another reason why, for example, whatever they say, even if you see it come out of their mouth, you just said, what, I want to see the interview. Don't trust that either, because Walt said specifically that he was not going to go for the sprint today because he's still not feeling good, and he went for it. So he must have been feeling quite good during the stage.
Yeah, we haven't seen him in a bunch sprint since I think the Vuelta in 24.
Yeah,
it's been quite some time. But at the same time, we're now getting into the Wout domain, the Wout territory. He always comes good 9 days into a tour, doesn't he?
I think he's going to be in animal mode in the second half of the race. Yeah. He's going to be. And we know that this guy just doesn't hold anything back. He's the best. He's going to want to try to win a stage for sure, but it will not be at the detriment of his function for the team and in critical moments.
No.
Before we talk about Jonathan Milan and the sprint and the final, Bradley, let's talk about Ketone IQ.
Yep, Ketone IQ, of course, are our main sponsor here. We got Ketone IQ is a classic shot, high performance energy, 10 grams of ketones, a clean shot of energy. Ketone IQ plus caffeine, 5 grams of ketones, 100 milligrams of caffeine from green tea, a 2-stage energy shot with caffeine to get you going and ketones for longer sustained mental energy. It boosts athletic performance. In a placebo-controlled study with trained athletes, Ketone IQ boosted average sprint power by 19%, peak power by 13%, cut fatigue by 10%, and spiked blood ketones 5 times in just 20 minutes. Faster recovery. Ketone IQ recently teamed up with Team Visma Lisa Bike and the KU Leuven to explore recovery and high altitude adaptation. Their key findings: improved blood flow and higher muscle oxygenation for endurance and better stamina. Take your shot, get 30% off your subscription plus a free gift with your second shipment at ketone.com/the move. That's ketone.com/the move.
Okay, today's stage. So initially, Bradley, not much going on, boring stage, an ideal stage to watch and fall asleep on the couch. And there was nothing really happening except the intermediate sprint. Jonathan Milan won that with no contest. It seems like everybody else has, except Pogačar. And if Pogačar wins the green jersey, it's going to be because it just comes to him. But Merlier didn't. I mean, they were there, but they didn't give it their all. You know, Girmay was 4th or 5th, I think, in that sprint. So it's clear that Milan is now. I mean, that's his main goal. That's it. That's the biggest goal of the team, I think, and he's the clear favorite of all the sprinters to win the green jersey. But a part of that, there was nothing except when we saw those two riders of Total Energies go away. I call it a TV attack.
Well, it's the region of the team, isn't it? It's the region of the team.
It is.
Of course, Jean-René Bernardo. It's. I mean, I used to live in Nantes when I went to La Française des Jeux, and of course, I used to train every day with Jean-Cyril Robin, who lived there.
Okay, all right. So you lived in Nantes.
I lived in Nantes when I first went there because this is the region of Marc Madiot. You know, Marc was from Renazé.
La Moyenne. Boucle de la Moyenne, yeah.
So I moved there, and good memories actually.
Okay. So we saw on the race radio also is I don't know who it was, the director. He says, okay, let's attack, let's honor the race. You know, that's typical. That's a French. On doit honorer la course, honorer the Tour de France. Do you think that's comes from the team? Is it a sponsor call, or as some may suggest? I mean, it's maybe a bit far-fetched, but could it be a request of ASO to say, "Hey, this is a boring stage"?
I don't think it would have come from ASO. No, I tell you what, I find that hard to believe. But if there is any plausibility in that call coming from ASO, then I think that we got a serious problem on our hands. You know, ASO shouldn't have that much influence on the racing. Side of things.
In the past, it has happened.
But I imagine it. Yeah, I can imagine Jean-René Bernardo saying, "Guys, you know, we need to be up the road. This is our region."
Yeah,
I think it's you know, Jean-René has always found sponsors for that team, haven't they? You know, that team has been in existence since Bonjour. Before that, it was Vendée, which was the biggest amateur team in France. And then, of course, they've had different amalgamations. You know,
was it Bonjour the first one?
Bonjour, Brioche La Boulangère, Europcar, Bouygues Telecom.
Yeah.
And so, you know,
I mean, there's a long history there. Yeah,
and
for sure.
You know, with Direct Energy now co-sponsoring Ineos, somehow, you know, there could be a fear that, you know, that team could, you know, be extinct in a couple of years. And
well, I think,
I mean, it's good for the team. You know,
it's what they're there for. You know, in the Tour, you know, last year they won a stage. Was it Anthony Turgis won the stage, the gravel stage, right?
Turgis,
yeah. He's sprinting up there for the points.
He's a class jersey. Act. Yeah, he's a good rider.
Yeah.
He's been second in Milan San Remo, won that stage last year. He's a good boy.
True. Yeah. So, but anyways, then, you know, nothing happens. Those two riders go away. We have the usual stressful preparation towards the bunch sprint, and then we see one of the big favorites, Tim Merlier, punctures with 11K to go. I think it was crazy how fast he was back in the peloton, but still, you know, I think that kind of effort is what he missed at the end. And on top of that, only having one lead-out guy. I expected Merlier to be up there with Milan today, but that was not to be. Speaking about Milan, so what a sprinter, man! I mean, as we said, you know, 1 meter 96 centimeters, almost 2 meters, 88 kilos. This is for today's cycling. It's almost impossible to race at this.
Yeah, but he's such a versatile rider. I mean, he's Olympic team pursuit champion. You know, he's the world record holder for the 4,000 meter individual pursuit. 3 minutes 59 seconds for 4,000 meters.
Standing start.
Yeah, and he's the current world champion for that discipline. Last year he won it in October last year. His first Tour de France. He's won the points jersey at both previous Giro d'Italias. Won 4 stages this year. He's a class act, you know, and he comes from that track school and that track program of Marco Villa, who looks after them all, and of course they've brought Ganna through. Marco, world Madison champion back in the day with Silvio Martinello. And so it's he's a class act and a very unorthodox sprinter. You could see how much kind of energy he's using just to keep the bike in a straight line, but it works for him. It works.
Yeah.
And,
But imagine the power, Bradley, to see, it was straight, there was no, even if potentially he has committed an infraction 700 meters to go, the sprint was straight. There was no discussion. Slightly uphill, a guy like Milan, the power he must generate to have a guy like Wout van Aert on the wheel. Yeah. And Wout could not move an inch. He didn't even come at his rear derailleur. He just had to stay where he was, right? That's the amount of power this guy has. Imagine if he would be aerodynamic in sprinting.
No. He reminds me of the way Greipel used to sprint. Big unit. Big peak power.
Yeah.
He's taken a lot of wind, which is, such a different style to the Mark Cavendishes of this world and the Caleb Ewans, So he has to work a lot harder just in the wheels, in the run up to sprint. I mean, we saw his face with 1.5 kilometers to go and he was hurting. And I thought, is this guy even going to be able to sprint? Because it's not just the sprint, as we know, that you have to launch, your peak power, 2000 watts, whatever it is, in the last 200 meters. The numbers he'd be doing in the last 5 kilometers, surging and constantly surging just to stay. I mean, it's incredible. To get to the sprint is quite something. To launch your sprint, Yeah.
No, I was happy to see him win. It's the big goal of the team also. Little Trek. Let's not forget. They made a very difficult decision to go for Milan, having Mats Pedersen on the team, who has already won stages in the Tour de France. And so they made that decision. And I just wanted to, I listened to the move, Bradley, and I heard George's 5-minute rant on the fact that Little Trek put Quinn Simmons the whole stage on the front. And he said he was highly insulted by this. He
had a point. He had a point.
Well, yes, he has a point. I mean, he can feel like that, but I completely disagree with his point of view. I completely disagree because, Quinn Simmons got added, and I like Quinn Simmons. He's a really good rider, and he deserves to have sometimes his chances. But I think in this circumstances here, I'm looking at it from a different point of view. Not as, of course, I'm not American, but it's also, we can't consider right now, as of now, the way Little Trek has evolved over the years. Little Trek is not even, they may be registered as an American team. I don't know if that's still the case. I think it's still owned by a Trek, but it's going to be co-owned pretty soon. Little is a big player, right? So this is an international team. And they went to the Tour de France with a clear goal. They have Jonathan Milan. They made a much criticized decision to take him instead of Mats Pedersen. And that's their goal. And they have Skjelmose for potentially a top 5, top 10. That's a secondary goal, in my opinion. And Quinn Simmons got added last minute to the Tour de France team because he's in good shape, because he didn't get added. Let's make this clear. And this is what George needs to understand. He did not get added to the team because he wears the stars and stripes. That's completely secondary. He got added because he's in good shape and he did great in the Tour of Switzerland and proved that he had his chance, his chance on the team, his place on the team. But if they go for Milan, and I would think that there's been agreements made before the race. Quinn Simmons, when he got the call, I can promise you, when he got the call, okay, Quinn, you're in the 8 places, you coming to the Tour. This would have been after the Tour of Switzerland. They have their whole strategy planned out already. These are, and I'm sure that part of that call was, these are the conditions. We need you to be always on duty. We want to win stages with Jonathan. That's the main thing. And if you look at the way the team is composed, they have 2 leaders: main leader Milan, secondary leader Skjelmose. Then they have their lead out train, which is I think it's Consoni, Stuyven, Tom Squeens, and Edward Teuns. So if you see that composition, that's a team which is completely concentrated on a sprinter, right? And so, to me, it makes no sense that criticism. I think, okay, I can understand his position from an American point of view, but this is a professional, a big budget professional team. Stars and stripes are completely irrelevant, So I personally think that these decisions have been made on beforehand. You could say, okay, Quinn Simmons and Thibaut Nys, those are the two guys. I think Thibaut Nys rode a little bit today. But let's not forget that Thibaut Nys was also already on beforehand one of the potential stage winners. He had a crash in stage 2 or 3. He's still recovering from that. And so it's only Quinn Simmons left. And Quinn Simmons will have been told today on beforehand, this is what you have to do. And as a team manager, team director, or team owner, I completely understand what they're saying. And you don't like it as an American. Okay, fine. But this is business, This is these decisions. I mean, this will have been one of the conditions when Quinn Simmons got the call. So I personally think that George exaggerated with his, highly insulted. Okay, fine. I mean, he may have a personal preference for Quinn Simmons because they have a personal relationship. But if you look at it from a team's point of view, I think that George needs to. How would I say it? Needs to get his stars and stripes pink sunglasses off and talk some sense, because this is professional cycling. So anyway, that's what you don't seem to agree with it, but
no. I mean, I think there's plausibility in both arguments there. I mean, obviously you're the DS, you come in from a different angle and different thought process, but I can understand what G's saying, and I think there's got to be scope for plans and goals to change on the road. Quinn nearly won the stage yesterday. He was in that break or 2 days ago. Yeah. And he's capable, as he showed at the Tour of Swiss, of winning. And it's all very well having all your eggs in one basket for Milan. I mean, this is his first stage win. It might be his last. There's not many more opportunities for the sprinters in this Tour de France. And Quinn has got a fantastic opportunity to win a stage, as he's shown. And he can win in different ways. And I think what George was saying was that there are other guys that could do the job that Quinn did today.
I don't think so. Because today, if you look, I mean, of course, you cannot predict how the last 2 kilometers are going to plan out. And it's easy to say, okay, he was on his own, Sprint trains sometimes get derailed. But, if you have one of these favorites and you have these 4 riders, these lead-out riders, it has worked in the past. They have the best lead-out train. If it works, I mean, before Philipsen left and you had Alpecin, but if you look at Consoni, Teuns, Skuhins, and Stuyven, these 4 guys are the lead-out guys.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, it's Quinn Simmons who had to do it. I mean, I'll ask George. If I don't remember which year it was. Was it 99 or 2000? Postal Service. That was an American team, a real American team. And I left the American champion home because I thought that he would not be a good teammate.
Who was that? Who was the American champion?
Marty Jameson.
Oh, Marty. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, those are decisions you have to make sometimes, So it's not because he's in stars and stripes. And I also don't think actually that what Quinn Simmons did today is going to impact his possibilities later on in stages that are well suited for him to go for a stage win. I don't think it will impact him because it's another flat stage tomorrow. He will be again on duty. I suspect that tomorrow it's going to be Quinn Simmons and Thibaut Nys together. Probably Thibaut Nys will have to do the majority of the job, and Quinn Simmons will have to be a little bit, because it's going to be again probably a bunch sprint. But yeah, so I disagree with George's. I mean, especially saying feeling highly insulted. That's no. You need to understand. I mean, okay, if you think it's America, it's an international team, and they went there with clear goals. So okay. You have anything to add to that?
No. I think it's a fair point.
Yeah. Before we talk about tomorrow's stage, Bradley, Ventum trivia. Like every day, we have our partners at Ventum, the contest for the whole Tour de France. Every day, there's a question. Yesterday's answer was about the Mur de Bretagne, right? The answer was it's called the Alpe d'Huez of Brittany. Today's stage 8 question is the following: which rider holds the record for the most green jersey competition overall wins in the history of the Tour? So which rider has won the most green jersey final classifications in the history of the Tour de France? Send your best guess, or if you know the answer, to ventumracing.com/themove, and you will enter in the grand prize, $5,000 of store credit towards any Ventum bike you want to purchase. If you don't want to wait until the end of the tour and you want to check out the Ventum website, there's a current 10% off the whole site using the code THEMOVE10 at checkout. And if you want to go for the road model, the NS1, you get 20% off with the code NS120. What to say about stage 9 from Chinon to Châteauroux tomorrow, 174 kilometers. Bunch sprint again, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it'll be the same players from today's stage. I think Little Trek will ride again. Biniam has to try something again, so Wanty have to do that. But I think for tomorrow, my tip for tomorrow is Tim Merlier. He wasn't present in the sprint today. We saw that puncture he had in the latter stages, but I think Tim will get redemption tomorrow, and I think Tim will be, play a big part in tomorrow's stage.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, today was not to be, but if you look at the way it planned out, I think it was not an ideal sprint for Tim either. It was really for the strong. I mean, you could see, you had Milan and Van Aert, and everybody else was dying. It's the first time in this Tour de France that I see, and in many races that you see a sprint and it's all lined up. It wasn't bunched up. It was, it was a line, and then you had, the rest of the peloton coming in. So, okay, we'll be back tomorrow for stage 9. And thank you, Bradley, as ever,
See you later, mate.
for joining us.
Have a good one.
See you tomorrow.